Christmas.
From my shack in Factory. John Bracken has a long mustache.
You're a real tough cookie with a long history, breaking little hearts like the one in me. That's okay, let's see how you do it. Put up your dukes, let's get down to it. Hit me with your best shot. Why don't you hit me with your best shot?
Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to Ivil Say Orway, the alien conspiracy to take away our guns. Wait a minute, I had show crossover. That's over on Coffee Talk. So if you want to hear about the alien attempt to take away our guns, that's over on the Coffee Talk section. No, what we're talking about is the real-life, non-conspiracy theory gun grab by the ATF now that they are convinced Biden will be our next president. And they are hell-bent for leather to take away our gun rights, and they're setting us up for a mass confiscation. That's a mouthful. A lot of people are going to freak out at that. You know, when I told you that they had outlawed all of the pistol braces for the AR-15 pistols just a couple days ago, or maybe that was yesterday, day before yesterday, had a lot of people come in on the channel and be like, "No, they didn't, Sage. No, they didn't, Sage." The only reason you think that is because you haven't been involved in the gun battle or the battle against gun control for as long as I have. Okay? When you read that letter, what that letter on pistol braces said is, if you ever bought one of these, put it on an AR pistol with the intent of using it as a shouldering device and turning an AR pistol into a short barrel rifle, you are now and have always been guilty of violating the law, and now we're going to specifically lay that out there and give you a chance to give yourselves up before we come for you. You know, the ATF can bust anybody whenever they want to if they can get a judge to agree with their assumptions, then or assertions. Then but the Justice Department would be they would be up to the Attorney General to prosecute them, right? Or at least federal prosecutors to take the case. And so that edict would come down from the Justice Department. So what you've got is, you got the enforcement arm saying, we're going to give you a chance to come clean about this incursion, or we're going to arrest you. Essentially, that was a threatening letter, is what is shaking everybody up over this. And you can argue whether this means anything or not, but I've been at this for a really long time. It's not the first time I've seen the ATF make a decision like this in my lifetime, okay? And I lived through the Clinton gun grab and the assault weapons ban, you know, and I had a friend of mine go to prison for selling a buddy a law enforcement only marked 15-round Glock magazine for a Glock 19. And it had LEO, you know, law enforcement only stamped on the bottom of it during the ban. So, you know, I know a thing or two about the way those people think, okay? And the way that organization is structured and their internal politics. Really, the ATF is staffed with a bunch of people who don't believe in the Second Amendment. They're all European-minded, and they don't hire people unless they have the same mindset. They believe only cops should have guns, and no one but cops should have guns. And, you know, they train and they're tactical and if you run into an ATF person in the shooting circles, he'll deny this, and rightfully so, he ought to. But when you dig around and look at the history and the decisions and the way the thing is handled over there, they all believe that only they should have guns, and only the Constitution and the Second Amendment is the only thing holding them back. So they'll push as hard as any president wants to push with them, or any Congress wants to push with them. And the ATF absolutely would be the guys right first in line, coming to your house to get your AR-15s on behalf of Beto and Biden, okay, and Harris. So this is just the beginning of the onslaught. I remember this. This is why we almost had a civil war until Timothy McVeigh blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City and committed such an atrocity that all of us that were gearing up for war and ready to go to war over guns went, woo! We ain't ready to go IRA on this. This is awful. Just because they committed an atrocity in Waco and killed some children there. Now they're gonna, somebody's gonna pay them back by blowing up a federal building in the heartland of America and killing a bunch of secretaries and Oklahoma residents and babies in a daycare. Right? So that put an end to it. Whether you want to say that was an intentional psyop, that was some kind of a CIA-backed thing, or whether it was just the way things went down, it stopped us from having a civil war that was more on line with Tidor's timeline, right? It's all coming to a head, and I see the writing on the wall better than a lot of the gun writers. And I may not get the details right about what's going on right now because this isn't a gun channel. I'm looking at the big picture, right? First, they go after was it Q and the honey badger? Q, not the Q person, but Q, the manufacturer of firearms, right? Went after them, big flashy raid. They went after Polymer 80 and the lower 80s on the Glocks. They're going after SBR Tactical next. The SBR Tactical guy was doing a live interview, live streaming on the web with the gun channel. I can't remember which one it was, and the gun guy was reading the comments while the SBR Tactical guy was talking, and apparently I was unable to because I watched it after it was rebroadcast, so I couldn't see the chat through my TV. But he was telling you, look, I'm getting this question over and over again. Are you going to destroy the customer records? Because what they're doing is they're hitting these gun manufacturers and accessory manufacturers, and they're trying to trace back anybody that might have any gun that they could classify as illegal under the current laws, right? They're going to reclassify everything until they can corner you. And really, unless you have a stock gun that came from an approved manufacturer or was imported legally and properly, that's why I buy from gun dealers who I trust to be legit, right? But if you're one of these people that's gaming the system and you're trying to get an SBR with a pistol brace, now the SBR tactical pistol brace was originally designed for a person with one arm, so they could shoot an AR with one arm by sticking their hand inside of the thing that most people use for a buttstock. Okay, and the ATF knows, and the Justice Department knows people have been basically making SBRs under the excuse of, oh no, it's a pistol thing. See, it's a pistol brace. And I hate to be on the other side of this issue, but I can afford to be, because I'm not in the boat with you guys on this particular topic, because I saw that was a trap. You've been trapped. You've been honey trapped. They took an SBR, which is probably, in my opinion, in urban and close quarter combat, either a pistol caliber carbine in an SBR short rifle package, like what we're talking about, or an AR pistol like that, is probably one of the most handiest things to have. I mean, it's the ultimate gunfighting tool for urban and indoor combat. It's not, you don't want to have it if you live in Wyoming. You don't need that. You need something with a 22-inch barrel, right? So you can reach out and touch something, because you can see forever. But most people want a quick, easy thing to handle a home invasion or to defend their community or defend against marauders. And they need to have something they can jump in and out of a vehicle with quickly. And so that kind of gunfighting skill, it's the next step up from a handgun. For me, it goes Glock with a 33 round magazine, and then I'm going to bump up and get into that SBR size or submachine gun size, right? And these pistol braces have allowed people to do just that, okay? Under the guise that, I want to shoot this one-handed, and so they suckered you in with this candy. It's gun guy candy, and you guys all bid on it. You went into the crab trap. You went with the bait. You got your head in the mouse trap, and now they've got you. And you're gonna, honestly, you can say what you want with all of you guys in the gun circles who are running around in circles talking to each other and fighting amongst each other about interpreting this letter. Listen to old sage that's been down the road a few times. Y'all are Ostghai. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to ditch the idea of having one of these. or you're going to have to register it and pay $200, or you're going to have to be non-compliant and be ready to wait for them to come for you, because the SBR tactical guy, the people in that interview that were in the chat were like, hey, are you going to destroy the records? Why are you going to destroy are you going to destroy the records? And he said, I would love to destroy the records if I was sure I could do that without going to prison for it. But I'm not willing to go to prison by destroying these records if I'm destroying evidence. And so basically he said his ass is more important than yours. Excuse my French. So you've been hung out to dry by this dude. He was, what's really sad to me looking at the whole story is that this guy's intentions, and I can see it, his heart is broken. His heart is broken. But he kind of made a deal with the devil in his own way. Because, and I'm going to come down hard on this guy, and apparently he's known about this problem for a while, and he's continued to sell out and try to sell his stock as much as he can, and prepare for when this was coming, because he knew before we did. And I believe he was lying in that interview when he said he only knew this last Monday. I think that's when he knew about their decision, but he knew he was under scrutiny and they were looking at this because they let him know prior to that. Now, I ain't 100% sure on that. Part of that speculation, part of that's rumor, okay? And there were plenty of accusations flying from the chat that night on that topic as well. How long did you know about this? Because a lot of people just bought those in this last round of, if I walked into a gun store in 2020 during the COVID thing and they had a bunch of these, that's the thing I'd be drawn to. I want the little short one, the one that fits in my closet, the one I can put under a big coat and walk outside with if I have to in the middle of the night. And no one will be obvious that I'm carrying one, right? They want to conceal it. Criminals want to conceal one, but criminals don't care about the law. They're just going to saw them off like they always have. They just saw them off, man. It don't take but a hacksaw and some sandpaper if you know what you're doing. Wood dowel's the right size, and you can just fix yourself right up. It's what Clyde Barrow did. He didn't buy them. Oh, Bonnie and Clyde. He didn't buy those BARs cut off small to go underneath his trench coat. He didn't buy them like that. He made them. It's not that hard if a criminal wants to be a criminal. Law-abiding citizens ought to have access to them too, and even the playing field out. Why should only evil people have access to good self-defense tools, right? One of the reasons that I chose pistol really to become an expert at. I'm an okay rifleman. I can handle. I know my way around a shotgun. I'm probably better with a shotgun than most gunfighters. But pistol is where I put all of my energy into, because for that very reason, it's concealable, it's quick, it's handy. You can get in and out of a vehicle with it. It isn't heavy. It's, the best gun to have in a gunfight is the gun you have, all right? Because the gun you wish you had or the gun you don't have ain't going to help you. The gun at home in the gun safe isn't going to help you. So you've been targeted. You've been set up. You've been honeypotted by the ATF. And they were just waiting for a gun-grabbing president, and they had this trap set for you, and now they're about to launch it on you. So it's going to cost you a couple $100 in a registration, or it's going to cost you a whole lot of peace of mind, or you can just junk the whole idea and be stuck with this pistol that is really hard to control. And they will probably go from being, the hot new thing, that 10-inch barrel AR pistol, to being way cheaper than a standard carbine with a 16-inch barrel. So, yeah. Tell me what you think in the comments section about this. You've been set up. You've been honeypotted. Can you guess what's next? What's the next thing? Because they're going after polymer 80. Are they going to go after the AR builds next? I mean, if they can get a prosecution to stick on polymer 80 for these kits, maybe they can stretch it, because you know what? They're stretching a lot of things these days. They're stretching the truth. They're stretching their votes. They're stretching my patience. They're stretching all of our goodwill and mercy, right? And they're going to stretch this little victory with the polymer 80 Glocks, and they're going to pull in those 80% AR builds too that all you got. And they're going to go on a ghost gun campaign to go after all these homemade guns from kits, and they're going to close that loophole some way, somehow. I mean, it'd be an easy thing with executive order. They've done a lot more wild out there things with executive orders than going, hey, you can't build your own guns anymore. It's just, we're not going to let you have these unserialized guns. If you build one, you're going to have to register it with the ATF and get a serial number issued to you. And then it's going to have to be properly marked, just like if it came from Remington or Colt, right? Or Glock. So that's my interpretation of the next step, is going after everyone who gunsmiths at home, who customizes at home. They're looking for the guys that can really defend themselves, and most of those guys are gear guys. There's few guys that are like me that, trust me, I can fight my way out of a paper bag even with busted up knees, And if you lay me down behind a log with pretty much any weapon, even with my eyes as bad as they are these days, I still see really good at a distance. I still see better than you at a distance. I promise you. I can, back in the day, I could shoot the wings off a hummingbird when it's flying past me, figuratively speaking, with any kind of close range weapon. And out to 100 yards, you were pretty much toast if you messed with me with any gun I had. And I'm not too far off that mark now, But I don't know where I got sidetracked on that. But the next thing they're going to do is they're going to go after these the gun guys. That's where I was at. There's not too many guys like me that like stock weapons. Like, I can handle myself. I competed on a national level. I have slam dunked Navy SEALs and SWAT teams in 3-gun matches. Just left them in my dust, right? With a stock Winchester 1300, which is one of the crappiest riot guns ever, in my opinion. I'd much rather have a Remington. That's my gun now. But, with a Winchester 1300 pump shotgun and elastic shotgun shells, elastic shotgun shell holders, and not even like real good gear, and my trusty old Glock 19 and an AK-47 with a 4X scope on top. And I smoked these guys with their custom AKs and their high-dollar Kimber tactical guns and their high-end, tricked-out Remington 1300s. Is Remington 1300 the auto? Semi-autos and pump guns. And now, I didn't beat everybody, but civilian shooters who practice a lot, especially back in the day during my generation, we were much better at shooting than cops or SEALs. Those guys, they have a wider spectrum of skills and abilities and weaponry. But when it comes to mano-a-mano, handgun, shotgun, rifle, clear your neighborhood, clear your house, clear your bedroom, civilian shooters can mop up the floor with most all military guys in all of those 3-gun matches. Rob Latham never served, and no one can outshoot that guy. Jerry Mikulik, people like that. Tactical shooters on the highest level. Len Baxley, who's now been defamed and felonized, but he made his decisions. Love you, Len. You helped teach me, and that's a Texas guy. These guys are so blistering fast, It's just, and they practice all the time, and they expend thousands of rounds of ammunition monthly, and used to anyway. So that's who they're targeting. They're not really concerned about Granny's gun in her bedroom. They'll get to her. But if she's got a nephew or a son or a grandson who who's got a lot of well-honed, well-accessorized firearms, and he has a lot of skills and abilities and knows how to use them. And this is why they're going after the ghost gun things, because the guys that build these are two kinds of guys, if you want to know the truth. They're prohibited possessors, felons, right, criminals, and they're making them because they can't go down and buy one. Or they're gun guys who are so into this sport of shooting and the idea of self-defense that they want to make their own piece. And so the ATF really isn't going after the criminals, if you want to know the truth. They may go after the criminals first, or the prohibited possessors, but they're coming for everybody on the ghost gun thing because they know that the people that make these are the tactically minded, practicing gunfighters in the world, of which there are many American riflemen and pistoleros who, like I said, can mop up the floor one-on-one against no Navy SEAL. And there were 3 teams at the last 3-gun match I went to before I quit doing it. It's expensive. So is cowboy action shooting. I did that too. That's fun as heck. It's the funnest thing ever. But it's so expensive and nowadays it's impossible. You got to be a rich man to shoot cowboy action shooting, or have a whole lot of brass laid up and parts laid up and be a big reloader all the time. And but back to what I was saying about these 3-gun matches, is that me and others that competed with me in weekly gun matches in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, most of those SEALs, there was 3 SEAL teams, and there was SWAT from Oklahoma somewhere, like Tulsa or Oklahoma City. It was like Norman or somebody, Norman SWAT. There was Grand Prairie SWAT was there, might have been one of those mid-city SWAT teams was there. And so this was a big event. There were 140 shooters in the one I did. And it was rifle out to, I think they set a 300-yard range on rifles. So it wasn't a long-range rifle. There wasn't a sniper event. It was 3-gun, pistol, shotgun, scenarios, live ammo in really big shooting galleries outdoors that were made for the event and set up ahead of time by people. So there was it's like a jungle walk for the shotgun. And there was a scenario with real vehicles where they blow the whistle and I pull my pistol out of the glove box in the truck, in an actual truck I'm sitting on in this big outdoor range, 1,000-yard range they set that up on. And you pull that and you ice 2 guys that are right there in your window, and then you get out and you duck walk around to the back of the vehicle and you pop another one around the corner with your pistol who's close by you, and then you holster, jockey back over, pull a scoped AR or AK out of the back of the truck from behind the seat, just like if you were driving, and then you drop down under the vehicle and you lay prone and you shoot a steel target, a gong, a human-shaped gong at 300 yards. Bong! You got to get 2 on. Bong, bong. And the difference between the AK that's scoped with a 4X and these ARs these guys were using, and the reason that I was able to beat them is because I made up for it in pistol, right? Because I'm very good in the pistol stage. I finished it in the top 10% of pistoleros in that group. But in the rifle, I was way down because they would go ping, ping on their 2 shots. And I'd be like, miss, miss, ping, miss, 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 ping with the AK. But I got the job done. I just had to throw a little more ammo down there. But nowadays, that ammo is cheaper and more available. Like I didn't think ahead on that one. I did. People are complaining you can't get AR ammo, but AK ammo is still coming in from out of the country. The bear ammo and the steel-cased ammo from Europe and whatnot. So at any rate, been kind of a long video. This is definitely a video for the gun guys, but this is also part of the Ivil say Orway, because this is what they have to do to try to, they want to get in there and minimize your ability to fight a sustained defense against a communist takeover. And that's what is behind Biden. He's been, like everybody's saying, Joe Biden is a communist agent. And I'll say that on this platform till they take me down. Joe Biden has sold out to the communist Chinese, and he gets paid through his kid Hunter. And this goes all the way up to Obama. And they're dirty, 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 all of them. And they are coming for your guns. And they told you they're coming for your guns. And I'm telling you, this is how they're going to do it. So tell me what you think in the comment section. Tell me, what you plan to do. Do you don't give away too much. If you decide to not comply and have it out with these people, that's up to you. You know how I feel about that. They can take them from my cold, dead hands under a pile of brass. But I don't have any of the ones they're going after first. The ones I have, they'll go after almost second to last. They'll probably come after my magazines before they come after my rifles. So, but either way, they can't have them. You know why? I bought them and they're mine, and you can't have them, and that's just animal law. You can take my bone when you can pry it out of my jaw, hound dog. God save our republic. Wolverine!